Today we will discuss digestion. Digestion. Digestion is the process where complex food material, complex food get converts into simpler forms. Okay, by the action of enzymes. By the action of enzymes. Enzymes are biocatalysts which helps in breakdown of complex food into absorbable simpler form of food, such as simpler forms of food nothing but all the nutrients such as carbohydrates and lipids also called as fats, then proteins, then vitamins and water and minerals, and the last one is fibers. Okay, all these things are together called as nutrients. What they are called as nutrients. Okay, carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, vitamins, water and minerals, and the last one is fiber. Okay, fibers are not giving any type of energy source for human beings, but it helps in the removal of undigested food, that is the fecal matter in human beings. Okay, fibers do not release any type of nutrients in case of human beings, but in animals fibers are most important nutrients in case of herbivorous animals, since they release numerous amount of carbohydrate in case of herbivorous animals. But in case of humans, these fibers do not undergo simpler form because there is no specific enzyme which act on fibers and converts them into simpler form of absorbable food material, that is nutrients. But fibers helps in removal of fecal matter or removal of waste products in human being. In this topic, we will study digestive system in human beings, that is human digestive system. Human digestive system. Okay. See, already we know what exactly digestion is. Digestion is the process. It's a biological process where complex food material get converts into absorbable simpler forms by the action of enzymes. Okay, in this class we will start discussing the digestive system in human beings. Okay, the digestive system in human beings starts with the mouth. Mouth is the first part of the digestive system. First part of the digestive system, where the food particles breaks up. Okay, the mouth opens into a large cavity called as buccal cavity. Okay, this buccal cavity consisting different types of tooth. In case of human beings. Okay, what are the different types of tooth? Okay, there are incisors, there are canines, there are premolars. Okay, there are incisors, then canines, then premolar and molars. There are four different types of tooth present in human beings, such as incisors, canines, premolars and molars. These four types of tooth are distributed in both upper jaw and as well as in lower jaw. Okay, see here. There are around about two pairs of incisors. plus one pair of canine plus two pairs of premolars and three pairs of molar in upper jaw. And same thing, same 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 pairs. Okay, here 2 means 2 pair means 4, 4 plus 2 plus 4 plus 6. Same 4 plus 2 plus 4 plus 6. That is 16 by 16 is equal to 32. Okay, there are around about 32 tooth are present in human beings, which are responsible for different types of actions performed by these different types of tooth, responsible for cutting, chewing, grinding, crushing, and making a ball-like structure of food called as a bolus. See, incisors helps in cutting down of food particles. It helps in cutting incisors. Two pairs in upper jaw, two pairs in lower jaw. Then one pair of canine help in tearing of food particles, and premolar and molar helps in crushing food particle and grinding food particles. Okay, then next in mouth there are three different pairs of salivary glands. How many pairs? Three pairs of salivary glands are present in the buccal cavity of a human being. These salivary glands secretes saliva. Saliva helps in moistening the food. It helps in moisten the food, and it helps in lubrication of food, moisten food, lubrication of food, and most important, this saliva consists an enzyme called as amylase. Okay, it secretes a enzyme called as amylase, which acts on carbohydrates. Okay, amylase enzyme acts on carbohydrates and converts carbohydrate into starch. Okay, amylase. Another name for amylase is Thylin. Okay, another name for amylase is Thylin, which is present in the saliva juice of human beings, which acts on food particles, which consist of carbohydrates. The carbohydrates undergo chemical changes by the action of enzyme called as amylase or Thylin and convert into simpler forms of food. The food which is mixed with the saliva juice, which is crushed, grinded by the different types of tooth and converts into ball shape structure called as bolus. What is bolus? Bolus is a ball shape structure of food which is produced in buccal or buccal cavity. Okay, then the food enters into the next part of the digestive system called as pharynx. Pharynx, it is around about 12 centimeter, which helps in swallowing of the food. What is the function of pharynx? Which helps in swallowing food, and most important, pharynx is common passage for both food and air. Okay, pharynx is the common passage for both food and air. Then next, the food enters into the esophagus, or esophagus is also called as a food pipe, and also it is known as a gullet. It is also called as a gullet. Okay, it is around about 25 centimeter in length. Okay, the esophagus is around about 25 centimeter in length. And one more important thing is the peristaltic movement of the esophagus helps in moving up the food, that is, which is in the form of bolus, enters into the J-shaped structure called as J-shaped structure called as a stomach. Okay. Next, the food enters into the J-shaped structure called as a stomach. Stomach is a J-shaped structure. Helps in storing. It stores and churns the food particles. What food particle is called as a? It is called as a bolus. The bolus is stored in the stomach and churned by the stomach. Why? Because the inner wall of the stomach are showing the movement which helps in mixing up of food particles. Okay, and the stomach also secretes gastric juice. It secretes gastric juice. Stomach secretes gastric juice. That is around about 2 to 2.5 liter of gastric juice is secreted by the stomach. That gastric juice consisting of different types of substances. That is, one is a pepsin. Okay, one is a pepsin. The pepsin is a enzyme which is secreted by the stomach. Okay, that pepsin converts proteins into polypeptides. Proteins into polypeptides. And the gastric juice also consists what? It also secretes HCl. HCl helps in activating enzymes. It activates the what? Enzymes, and also it helps in killing or protection. It gives protection from the water, from the germs, or but it gives protection from the it gives protection to the stomach from the germs by killing the germs. Okay, by killing the germs, HCl gives protection to the stomach, and it also protects the water. It also protects the inner lining. Okay, it also protects the inner lining of stomach by secreting mucus. By secreting mucus, it protects the water inner wall of the stomach. For example, carnivorous animals feed on flesh. Flesh is meat. Our stomach is also meat, but the action of enzymes is act only on flesh, not on the stomach. Why? Because the inner lining of the stomach is protected by the mucus, which is secreted by the water gastric glands. Okay, gastric glands secretes the water gastric juice. Okay, that gastric juice secreted by what? Secreted by the gastric glands which are present in stomach, secretes the enzyme, secretes the HCl, and secretes the water mucus. Next is the most important gland called as liver. Okay, liver is called as chemical factory of the body. What liver is called as? Liver is called as a chemical factory of the body, which is the largest gland in a human body. Largest gland in human body, weighs around about 1.5 kg. It's called as a chemical factory of the body, which helps in storage of glycogen. Glycogen is stored in the liver, and it secretes bile juice. That bile juice helps in emulsification of fat. It helps in emulsification of fat. Emulsification of fat. That bile juice is secreted by the water bile duct stored in the water gallbladder. Okay, there are different types of water functions performed by the liver. It helps in breaking down of many chemical substances. It breaks chemical substances, or it breaks the chemicals, and also it builds the water. It builds certain chemicals which are very much essential for the biological activities. Okay, and it stores vitamins. It stores the vitamins. It stores vitamins and iron. It stores vitamins and iron, and it also destroy the water, destroy old blood cells. Old blood cells. Okay, you know, after 120 days, the red blood cells are not having capacity to perform their function. These red blood cells are called as old blood cells, which are killed in a chemical factory of the body called as a liver. And it also destroy the water poisons. It destroys poison. It destroys poison, and it also helps in storage of bile. Already we discussed that is, it stores the bile. That bile helps in emulsification of fat. Food is enter into the small intestine. Okay, where the another gland called as pancreas release its secretion. Okay, pancreas is called as dual gland, or also called as, it is called as mixed gland, because it perform its function both in control and coordination, and also in case of digestion. Okay, this dual gland is the second largest gland in the human body. Second largest gland, that is 6 to 7 inches in size. It is the second largest gland. It secretes different types of hormones called as glucagon, and the most important one is insulin. Okay, insulin and glucagon are the hormones released by the pancreas. Pancreas perform two different type function. It helps in control and coordination, and also it helps in conversion of complex food into simpler form of food. Okay, see, if it secretes the insulin, that insulin is responsible for what? Controlling the water sugar level. It helps in controlling the water sugar level. Okay, it regulates the water blood glucose. Sugar nothing but water. Blood glucose level is controlled by the water pancreas by secreting a hormone called as insulin, and it secretes the water bicarbonates. Okay, very important. Bicarbonates are secreted by the pancreas, which helps in neutralizing the HCl. That HCl is secreted by the stomach. Okay, and it it is responsible for secreting a enzyme called as a trypsin. That trypsin acts on proteins. Trypsin acts on proteins which are acted by the trypsin get converted into simpler forms of protein called as peptones. And also it secretes one more enzyme called as pancreatic amylase. It secretes one more enzyme called as pancreatic amylase. That pancreatic amylase converts into carbohydrate into same thing that takes place that is formed in mouth by the action of enzyme called as amylase. That amylase converts the carbohydrates into starch. Okay, that starch is converted by the carbohydrate by the action of pancreatic amylase in case of pancreas, and in case of mouth, amylase converts carbohydrates into starch. Okay, whatever the carbohydrates which are escaped from the amylase of saliva juice, that get breakdown into starch by the action of pancreatic amylase. Next, the food enter into the small intestine. Small intestine is the part of the digestive system where complete digestion takes place. Complete digestion. The complete digestion takes place in a small intestine. The small intestine is around about 22 feet in length. Okay, and it is divided into three different parts. One is duodenum. duodenum, then jejunum, jejunum, and one more thing is ileum. Okay, the food, the complex food that gradually break down into simpler forms in mouth, in stomach, and in pancreas finally enter into the smaller intestine, where varieties of different types of enzymes are released. For example, one example is peptidase. Okay, another one is maltase, and one more is sucrase, sucrase, and the last one is lactase, lactase. These are the different types of enzymes released by the small intestine in order to convert the complex food into simpler forms of food. Okay, how? The peptidase is an enzyme which converts peptones into simpler form of food called as amino acids. Okay, the function of peptidase converts peptones into amino acid. Okay, maltase is enzyme which acts on carbohydrate. Okay, what type of carbohydrate? Maltose converts into glucose and glucose plus glucose. Why? Because maltose is a disaccharide which break down into monosaccharide, that is glucose and glucose is the simplest form of the carbohydrate. Okay, then sucrase acts on sucrose, that sucrose break down into glucose plus fructose. Okay, glucose is monosaccharide, fructose is monosaccharide, which these two sugars are combined together to form the sucrose. This sucrose is the sugar which is present in our sugar, white sugar. Okay, then lactase acts on lactose which converts lactose into glucose plus galactose. Okay, remember all these simpler forms of food. One is amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. Then glucose, fructose, glucose, and galactose, these are the simpler forms of carbohydrates. All these digested simpler forms of food is directly absorbed by the finger like structure present in the inner wall of the small intestine called as villi. Villi are the finger like structures which absorb the nutrient. What is the function of villi? Villi absorb the digested food. Okay, getting this one? Okay, last part of the digestive system is large intestine. Large intestine is around about 5 feet in length. The whole large intestine divides into three parts. One is cecum and colon, and the last one is rectum. Okay, the part of the small intestine which joins with the large intestine, there is a small worm like structure called as a appendix. Okay, appendix is the vestigial organ. Appendix is a vestigial organ which has no particular function in human beings, but it has a function that helps in providing immunity to the body. Okay, even though this vestigial organ absence do not cause any problem to the human beings, but appendix is very important organ in case of herbivorous animals, because the herbivorous animals consume maximum amount of fibers. That fibers undergoes digestion with the help of appendix. But in case of humans, it has no particular function, but it performs a little function in what? Providing immunity to the human body. And this appendix appendix sometimes it causes a disease called as appendicitis. Inflammation to the appendix causes a disease called as appendicitis. Okay, then the function of large intestine, is to reabsorb water. It absorb the water, reabsorb water, minerals. It reabsorb water, minerals, mineral ions and vitamins are reabsorbed by the large intestine. The function of large intestine is to reabsorb the water, mineral ions and vitamins. And finally, the undigested food which do not produce any type of nutrients to the body, that is temporarily stored in a rectum. Okay, temporarily stored in a rectum and at regular interval of time through the anus, the undigested food eliminated by the body. Okay, this is about the digestive system of human beings in brief. Okay.